This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
BooBaes.
Hi,
Hello, and welcome to
BooBaes.
BooBaes. That's right. We're your host. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we're here to talk to you about a Christmas classic.
Christmas classic called Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, 1973 or 4?
4.
Okay.
Canadian slasher film produced and directed by Bob Clark and written by A. Roy Moore. It stars Olivia Hussey, Keir, Dullea, Margot
Hussey.
Kidder, Hussey, Andrea
Gia
Martin,
Hussey.
Lynn Griffin, and John Saxon. And we're basically following a group of college students who are being picked off by a sadistic, unknown POV shot serial killer.
Yeah.
Maybe not a serial killer. He is a...
Well, I think technically to be a serial killer, you have to kill like 4 or more individuals.
Yeah, and they have to be like spread out, I believe. This is like a spree killing or something like that because it's like all in one night. It's like a something killing. Yeah. But it kind of was a... what's the word?
Who knows? He could have been killing way before that, though, too.
It's true. It's true. This kind of was a little starting movement for the slasher film and genre that really inspired other movies that we got, like John Carpenter's Halloween and all of the other franchises that like Nightmare and Friday. So pretty cool, pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And it's about Christmas. So, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
'Tis the season.
You get some cool shots with carolers in it and stuff.
Yeah.
That I really liked. That was probably my favorite scene when Barb died.
Yes. And she was getting stabbed with the glass unicorn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were shooting back to the carolers just singing their god-awful songs.
There was a lot
Just kidding. They were actually a really good little kid choir.
They were pretty good. They got tipped.
They did get tipped.
Which I didn't know we were discussing that. I didn't know the protocol of like, do you tip? Do you not? Who do you give the tip
Just is
to?
it for Christmas
For
cheer?
carolers? I don't know. Do you give them baked goods? I thought that the movie, already off the bat, I'll tell you, this movie had a really cool transitions and like image to like sound things or like really small things. They're all very small things that I noticed. Like the window out the frame of her and then the dad leaving, like really smart things that really felt thought out and really cool for all the way back in 1974 and for a horror film, like a little slasher film.
Yeah. They did a lot of innovative things and really...
It felt smart. Like it didn't just feel like a slasher film for the sake of a slasher, it just felt really effective in creating like some good suspense, some like good we don't know who this is, who done it, because it also throws in this red herring of you thinking that Peter's the murderer at a certain point, or maybe it could be someone else
the whole time.
Yeah.
I think Peter's the murderer.
Yeah.
The moment she gets that phone call and it says remove it like a wart or whatever,
because those are the exact same words.
It's Peter.
She said to Peter,
and then she,
Peter,
spoiler alert, kills Peter in the end. But it's not him.
No, it's not him at all.
Yeah, Peter also had blue eyes, and then the eye that looked through the door at her was like hazel.
Yeah, it was a brown eye.
Yeah,
in your brown eyes. But wait, she killed him at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was her that killed him.
Yeah,
in self-defense.
Yeah, I think so.
Huh? Maybe. Did they explicitly say that, and I missed that?
They did say, let alone kill Peter.
Ah.
They were like, she wouldn't kill anyone, let alone kill Peter, so it must have been him. Who would have thought it was him the whole time?
Yeah. Because they're trying
The
to blame
guy
it
was
on
like,
him.
I had a gut feeling that it was
Yeah.
him.
Okay, I see now. Dots are connecting even more for me. Okay. Got it. Because I was wondering, because you hear it, because it pans away and you don't see it. You just hear the screaming as it's
Yeah.
like zooming in on the house. So I thought at that point, like the killer got in there as well. And like,
killed both of them.
yeah, or attempted to, didn't really kill her all the way. And then, yeah. But then
That could have been what happened.
but I don't know. We'll find out. We'll talk about it. But yeah. We can go ahead and get
Peter
into
dies.
it. Yeah, Peter dies. Spoiler alert. But
Well,
we
everyone dies.
we
Basically.
for the most part, we go in with our, it's a really scenic scene. The house, it's Christmas, it's got lights up. We get our title card pretty fast, Black Christmas. And there's like Christmas music, and we see that there's like a holiday party going on, and well, not a sorority party, but like they get together.
Yeah.
All the college kids are kind of hanging out before. It's like the day or so before school lets out for the holidays.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
night
you
before.
get a pretty long shot of the house as all the trailers run, and you're getting all the information of who is starred in the film and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Some
then,
name developments and all
Yeah.
that. Same. Mm-hmm.
And then we get into the house, and everyone's in there talking,
Yeah.
just having a good time at the party.
Mm-hmm. They're all sitting, like there's some in the living room. We have Barb like making her way through the house, talking to people. We have their POV shots of someone then like looking from outside the house and approaching the house, and then like it's like also like heavy mouth breathing.
Yeah.
And like very like
Yeah.
just like that, you guys. And then they're making grunts and then climbing up like a trellis eventually and making their way up to the attic. And so
Yeah, it made me double think wanting to have any sort of trellis or lattice on the side of the
you
house.
can climb it, but you can also climb down it. It's a good escape route in case you ever had intruders in your house.
Yeah.
So it's kind of vice versa.
Lock your windows, people.
Yeah.
Lock your doors too.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you live on the 4th floor, still lock them.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I live now, 4th floor.
We live in a dangerous world. Wait, how many floors are there though?
4.
4. Oh, okay. So all the way at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Is there roof access?
I don't know.
And so we have Jess getting a phone call or answering the phone. And it's like, I think one of my favorite parts.
I was like, you love this part.
Yeah, because she's like, hello? Pardon? Who?
Hello? Pardon?
You do it better.
Who?
It's that like transatlantean, right? Old 20s accent.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like Flapper Girl.
It sounded almost like that little kid yesterday that was half British.
Mm-hmm. She's answering the phone, and there's some like mouth breather on the phone already, a Mona, but it's not. This one goes by quick, right? Because then
this one I think is Barb's mom.
Is it Barb's mom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then she passes off the phone to Bob's mom, and they start talking. And
Marmy.
This is whenever we have the like shot of like whoever is upstairs, and we get kind of like a scene in the attic of like the rocking chair. That's not the rocking chair, the rocking horse thing.
Oh,
What's
yeah,
a kid?
Rocking horse.
Rocking horse, yeah. And so it's kind of setting up like what are these things? Maybe this is something like kind of setting up a backstory, but we never even get a backstory on it. Basically, you know what I mean? Because I feel like it's setting up like this is this person's like old house, and like now the sorority owns it, but like those are the items upstairs from his childhood. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. And so we have.
I like that idea.
Yeah. And so he just kind of like escaped from the asylum and went to the place that was most familiar to him, and then just ended up having all these people in it, and he just ends up killing them. But yeah, we have the party being called over, right? Because they're like, all the guys got to go because I think the house mother gets there. There is arriving.
Yeah, she's starting to get home, and they're all men. You gotta go, and we see what's her name, Clarissa,
I believe so.
Clarice,
Claire. It's Claire. The one who
Claire.
ends up getting killed first?
Yeah.
Yeah, Claire.
We see her kissing her boyfriend goodbye and stuff and all that jazz. And
Oh, yeah, because then actually the killer, right, POV, he starts climbing down from the actual attic into the house, and he's just kind of creeping through.
Yep, exactly. And we kind of see that he goes into a room of sorts, and they're all talking again as they get another phone call. And this time the phone call is very explicit, very vulgar, and much more drawn out. It's a bunch of like moaning and then again mouth breathing and then saying like, you pig cunt.
Yeah. I'm gonna lick your pig cunt.
Yeah. And then he's like, you suck my fat juicy cock or something.
Pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
And then
I was
Barb
like,
the whole time is then like starting to like tell him off on the phone.
Yeah, put your tongue in a light socket. Let that shock you or whatever.
And so after they're kind of like back and forth banter, he ends it with, I'm gonna kill you, and then like hangs up the phone real fast.
Yeah.
And then they're just kind of like, what? And then Claire is the one who's like, right, it's either her or Jessica, but I'm pretty sure it's Claire, is like, I don't think you should be talking to someone who's like, you know,
it was Claire,
who's, you know, harassing us like that. You're gonna like egg them on. And so Barb is really like,
Barb is very brash.
Yeah, she just don't give a fuck. Yeah, I wouldn't want to pick a fight with Barb.
No, she's scrappy.
Yeah, she's very scrappy, and she looks like she would like do something dirty.
She'd pick up a chair.
Yeah, she'd like throw sand in your eye and then like light you on fire. I don't know. But she, you know, obviously after that, they're all kind of like, well, what the fuck? But it kind of blows over because they're just kind of, I mean, I guess they're college students too. So it's kind of like, it could be a prank. It could be, you know, someone just going a little too far. But that's whenever Mrs. What's her name? The house mother gets there. I have her name here later. Miss Max arrives and she's talking to the girls. She has a pretty funny accent too.
Yeah, she does.
And she's
a funny character.
I really actually enjoyed her character. Maybe
she's a lush
the most. Almost.
Yeah.
She was kind of the comedic relief for the first half of the movie.
Very goofy.
And she ends up, you know, talking to all the girls. They're I guess getting ready for to end the night, right? To turn the night over. And that's whenever we have Claire in her bedroom and she's like packing because she's getting ready because her father's going to pick her up the next day so that she can leave for the holidays. And she ends up hearing something in the closet. We already can tell that and know from POV that the murderer is in the closet. And then it doesn't take long, but she ends up getting snatched by like with the dry cleaning bag.
Yeah, a little garment bag.
A garment bag, and then like suffocated with it, you know.
And it was so creepy because there's this cat named Claude, right? That's inside the house. And she picks him up whenever she gets into her room and stuff at first. And so you know there's a cat. And this individual was in the door frame, like making cat noises. Yeah. Like mewing and meow.
Like he knew.
Yeah.
There's an intruder there.
And well, no, like I think the murderer was making the cat noises.
Oh.
Yeah, to lure her into the closet.
Gotcha.
And
that's okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think Claude didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Claude was just like, because later on he like about eats Claire's dead body.
And he's upstairs.
He's all licking her and stuff. Yeah.
Cats need to eat too.
Yeah.
It's a delicacy. Human flesh. Oh.
It is.
Controversial statement. My bad. JK,
go back to Fresh.
I've never tasted. Oh yeah, that's a shout out to our Fresh episode.
Yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, so it's just so creepy the fact that he's sitting there making these sounds and stuff to lure her into the closet, and it's just like
that's how it would kill you.
It makes my skin,
because you love cats.
I'd be like, oh,
and you'd be like, oh, kitty.
But where? I know Suki and Yams' meows, so like. Yeah. I can tell them apart.
But like if we were in an alley, if you were walking past an alley.
Oh yeah, and like, a little cat meow. Like, I would go towards
meow,
it.
Meow, 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 meow.
Exactly
meow,
like
meow,
that.
Meow. You would be serenaded.
I would be like, wow, this cat can sing. Let me go pet it.
And so we have her getting axed. She's getting murdered. She is out of the picture, Dunzo. And then I believe that's we have him taking her upstairs. We don't see it, but like you see like like the camera angles and then like the little thing on the attic door closing as he gets up there.
Yeah.
And then we see Miss Max and going into the library thing, just like getting her hooch out of the book.
Yeah. She's got liquor stashed everywhere all throughout the house.
In the most random places.
Yeah. Well, I feel like
thought out places.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like it's the typical places where you would hide alcohol. Like, but some
a restroom,
library, yeah, because people hide stuff in books all the time.
Yeah.
And then I've seen other things where people hide liquor in the toilet tank.
That was my first time seeing that.
It's gross.
Yeah, I was
Even
about
though
to say
it's like fresh water
and it's closed up, but like also that's weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't
either.
Wouldn't do it.
And so we have
also, what if the toilet breaks? You've been found out.
And nobody opens that up. Like I get stuff. I don't know. And so we have Jessica. I'm assuming it's short for Jessica, right?
Probably.
It's because they all just call her Jess. But Jessica calls her boyfriend and she wants to talk to him the following day. So they're setting up plans because it's, something important. And she just won't tell him like right now. She's like, no, I want to wait till we talk about it in person.
Yeah.
Because it's a really important thing.
And he's kind of an asshole the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
because he's like, I've got this, because he's like a pianist. But like, what am I looking for? Like he's studying to be like this great piano person thing. And he's got this big old like showcase coming up or whatever. Right? That's what it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He had a big jury coming up where he had to like
play
big
for his
recital.
Life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but he the whole time is like, I've been studying for 3 days. Like, I don't have time to play your games. And it's like, dude, she just wants to talk in person. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, just calm down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Because then later on, he makes some other remarks where I'm like, that's really not chill.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
He's very much an asshole. And so we have then, after all of that, the house mother, I think that's whenever we see her, Miss Max getting the bottle from the toilet. And then she ends up, or someone.
And she's like brushing her teeth with it.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
Wake up in the morning with a bottle of, brush my, I don't even remember. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy, right?
Brush my teeth. I'm at the door.
I'm gonna hit the city. Brush my teeth. Grab something with a bottle of Jack.
There we go. Oh.
And when I leave in the morning, I'm not coming back. I'm talking.
Pedicure on my toes. Okay. Anyways, we have
Kesha.
Mm-hmm. Shout out. R.I.P. And so we have the girl, not Kesha. R.I.P. to the dead girl because someone, it's either Jess or the house. I think it's Jess or Barb. Is it Jill? Phil? Someone goes to check up on Claire, but she's not answering at the door. Like when they go to knock at the door. And so then it goes.
I think it was Jess.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Because Jess has been like worried about her the whole time because she got onto Barb whenever Barb was talking low-key smack to her.
Oh yeah.
So I think it was Jess, if I remember correctly.
Because Claire gives very like in her tone and how she was talking earlier, she kind of gave like sheltered girl or like innocent girl that like doesn't really know better, kind of ignorant.
And Barb even made comments towards that, like calling her like the ultimate virgin or something, and stuff like that. So you kind of get a feel for
like a mean girl.
Yeah, that she's the
not that like Claire is like innocent or anything, but that she's just kind of like
maybe the most proper of the bunch.
Mm-hmm. I wrote that she was prude. I wrote,
yes, did.
The prude girl died. Sorry, that was a bit rude. My bad. And so that's whenever we have a shot of her in the rocking chair, and she's dead. She's in a bag, And it's that like iconic scene. They use it for like I think the title and like for a poster and stuff.
Yeah.
But
You can see that she's
got
like suffocated on a
Mhm.
plastic bag and her mouth is all like agape and the plastic's like sunken into her mouth and stuff because she was trying to breathe in. Yeah, pretty graphic.
Yeah, pretty
little
graphic
scene that you get to see, especially for the 70s, I feel like.
And then we just have like a Christmas song playing over, and then it's the next day, and we like get a shot of church bells going over like a church.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
So we have an old man getting hit by some snowballs
Yeah.
in the face, which I thought was pretty mean.
I was like, those fucking kids.
Yeah, it was a pretty asshole thing to do. I think regardless of anything, like anybody, just don't hit them in the face.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he wasn't aiming for the face, but this man just
punted him right in the glasses,
boom.
Knocked his glasses off.
Yeah.
Oh, and snow hurts when it hits you.
I don't think I've ever been hit by a snowball.
Oh.
I've never been in that situation.
I mean, it's really cold for starters,
right.
so that's
ice,
not pleasant.
Ice.
Yeah.
Basically an ice ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it could not cut you,
kill,
but yeah, could kill you. Death by snowball.
Who started that? Who was like snowball fight? Boom. Like I wonder the origins.
Cavemen.
Oh, you think so? Probably. I mean,
Sid.
It makes sense. Sid from Ice Age?
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to Sid. Oh, who was your favorite? Is Sid your favorite character from Ice Age?
I kind of like Manny.
Robert says that I have Scrat energy.
Yeah.
What?
I can see
you
it.
agree fast with that.
Just like, wah!
I'm always chasing an acorn and
you are
never succeeding. This close though. My favorite is actually, if we're talking about Ice Age, I really like Manny. Manny's super dope.
Yeah.
I feel like Manny gets like over, like everybody either likes Diego because he's like, the cool badass saber-tooth tiger, and Sid's like really funny. And everybody's like, Manny's always really like, grumpy or frustrated. But if
he's just like Eeyore.
Right? But he's like the heart. He's like the heart of the group. And he really is the one that always like cares the most at the end and like protects and keeps the family together. So yeah, Manny's my favorite. I get Manny. I feel it.
Yeah.
But we are not talking about Ice Age. We are talking about murder because Mr. Man, who is Mr. Harrison, Claire's dad, is looking for his murdered daughter. And he's asking around. He ends up popping. Is that Peter that he's talking to? Or is it someone who looks like Peter? It might be just some frat guy who looks like Peter, but he's like, hey, my daughter didn't meet me.
Oh yeah, it's not Peter, it's someone else.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh well, she's actually a part of this sorority, but so she might be at that house, and so he's like directs him to go over there, and then he ends up meeting with Mrs. Max, and they're talking, and she's like trying to hide all the obscene like posters and stuff that they have in the house, because he obviously is more conservative, and he ends up like mentioning like,
I didn't send my daughter here to drink and meet boys.
Yeah.
Because she has a picture of her boyfriend on her bedside table.
Yeah.
And so he like questions that and stuff like that.
For sure. And so we have then Mrs. Max mentioning that, oh, well, she might be over at her boyfriend's place, which is the fraternity house. So she's like, I know exactly where it's at. I need to go to the store anyways. If you give me a lift, I'll show you where it's at. So they end up leaving. He ends up seeing like stuff that she was trying to hide anyways. And at that point, she ends up getting ready. She's trying to grab her bag, but she ends up hearing the cat, Mr. What was his name?
Claude.
Mr. Claude. And she's like calling out for him. And as she's going to the staircase, is it that she broke the banister or that like she
Her
broke a
bag
hill?
just opened up.
And everything fell?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And then she blames it on Claude.
Yeah.
She's like, Claude, look what you made me do. And I was like, bitch, that was your own fault.
And then Mr.
Don't blame the cat.
Harrison comes up and is just like, and she's just like,
yeah, because she yells something along the lines of like, you, Claude, you god damn it, prick, or something like that.
yeah.
Goddamn prick.
Yeah. And then he's just like, well, okay. And then she's just kind of like, she says like, thank you, Mr. I don't even remember, but she like dismisses him in a way.
Yeah, and then flips
he
him
leaves.
off.
Yeah. And
As he's leaving.
he leaves. And then we have that shot of him leaving, but like his daughter in the shot of the frame as it's looking out the window of him leaving, which I thought was pretty cool.
Which I did just wonder the whole time how no one saw her in the window.
That's true. She was just right there.
Yeah. And I feel like...
honestly, people weren't looking hard enough for Claire.
Yeah.
Because she was in the attic. I mean...
search the whole house.
Yeah. I don't know.
What if she fell up there and got hurt or something?
Fell up there.
Fell up the stairs.
What if gravity stopped working?
Up in the attic and
then fell in
an
there?
accident happened. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like things like that could happen. Like I would check the whole house before going to the police.
I think that because of the time, maybe like they were just not thinking of like she was murdered immediately, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe she just ran away. I don't know. I guess a lot of people ran away back in that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have Jess meeting up with Peter and they're talking about the abortion. And Peter wants the baby, but Jess does not. And she's basically telling him like all of this and how she doesn't want the child. And he's basically, you know, saying like, you're crazy. Like, why would you do that? You can't do that. Think about me. What about what I want? And she's just like, well, I don't want it. It's my body. And I have all these plans.
My body, my choice. Yeah. He's like, don't you ever think about anyone but yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like,
he's being really selfish.
She is like, she's thinking about all of the aspects. She's obviously put some thought into this. People don't just wake up willy-nilly and go, let me get that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure.
So
I'll take the number 3. And so she is, you know, kind of letting all this out, talking to him about it. And then that's whenever she ends up walking out because they are not coming to an agreement or like a consensus of the situation. And then that's whenever she is getting back home and she answers a phone call. And I love how like the moaners on the phone and she's just like, oh hell, not again.
Yeah.
And he's saying all this mumbo jumbo crap.
Billy and Agnes, I think is the first time maybe that we get
those names mentioned.
Yeah.
Multiple voices. And then she ends up saying like, you have the wrong number, and trying to dismiss him and hangs up on him. And then that's whenever we have Barb and Phil with Mr. Harrison, and they're talking to the cop guy, and they're getting dismissed by him, I believe, and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Because they're talking about the phone call and all of this stuff.
Yeah. And they're trying to figure out exactly what happened to Claire. And
the dad is super worried. He's already trying to report her missing.
Yeah. And then the Nash, I believe was his name, was the cop guy, and he basically was just saying things along the lines of, you know, normally when girls go missing, they're shacked up and they're in a cabin with their boyfriend, and they just didn't tell anyone, so he's not taking them seriously.
Yeah.
And
he's being a dick.
Yeah. And then Barb keeps like kind of sassing him, and
because Barb is that girl.
Yeah. And he just keeps kind of dismissing her, and like, well, he tells her to shut up, like face to face.
Yeah.
And then she pulls a little funny tricks on him by whenever he asks for the number of the sorority house, she says fellatio 2808 or something like that, but mainly fellatio, and then like spells it out for him, and he's never heard of it. And she's like, it's a new type of exchange, which I mean, she's not wrong. She's not lying.
It is.
But she, yeah,
she's duping the man, and he like is none the wiser and writes it down. And so that's whenever she's kind of having like a little inside joke to herself, laughing. And then we have it cutting back to Jessica asking Peter if he's seen Claire, because he at one point had, because he called her or she called him, right, or something like that. I don't remember. But at some point, she's asking him if he had seen Claire, and he's like, "No, I haven't seen her." Whatever. Because then
I think she asked Claire's boyfriend.
Oh, that's what it is, at the hockey game.
Yeah.
Yes, at the hockey practice or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes up to him.
Yeah.
I feel like his name was Chris or something like that. She goes up to him and asks him, like, "Hey, have you seen Claire?" Because they said that, you know, normally she's off shacked up in a like room with her boyfriend.
But obviously you're here. So.
And she's not here. So what's going on? And that's when he's like, okay, no, God damn it. Like, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And he goes to the police station and stuff too afterwards, and is like, I guess he's brothers with one of the cops or something. Because they mentioned something about like your brother. He comes in real hot yelling at Nash and stuff like that too. But, and then he kind of forces them to get to the bottom of it and take it more seriously instead of just being brushed off.
Yeah. And then that's whenever I think we have it cutting to, is it Peter's showcase? His piano thing?
His little recital.
And he's doing his, and also I thought it sounded bad.
Yeah, it didn't sound very good. I think he was messing up.
Right? Okay, for sure. Because of, I guess, all the stress of what was going on. Or also because he was kind of deciding that he wanted to have the baby and that like none of this mattered anymore. I guess maybe he was throwing it on purpose or just didn't care. And so then we have, after the piano testy thing going on, we have a lady coming to the police station because she's reporting that her daughter was missing.
Yeah.
Her 13-year-old daughter or something, right?
Yeah,
Janet?
13-year-old. And she, you know, was supposed to come home after school around noon to help buy a Christmas present for her father and stuff. And they were like, you don't think it's at all like normal that she would be a few hours late? And she was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, my daughter wouldn't be late.
As well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She walks through this park every day. And no, my daughter would be here on time, kind of thing.
And so we have all of that going on. So at the same time, we're cutting back to, I believe we're at the house again, and Mr. Harrison is there with a few of the girls. They're having like a dinner, I think, of sorts.
Yeah, Barb and Phil and Miss Max.
And Mr. Harrison. And Barb is like getting drunk, and she's just saying like really insensitive things at the moment, especially while the dad is really like, you know, worried about his daughter. And Barb is just like
saying things like, did you know there's a species of turtles that can have sex for 3 days straight? And just not the time or place.
Not dinner talk.
Yeah.
And she's obviously
especially with an older man that you're not familiar with.
Well, and also she's saying it deliberately to get a ruse or to get like
a row.
Out of the guy who she knows that like it would either make them uncomfortable or I don't know. But she's just that girl. She's the ITGIRL. She's the girl. And so she ends up getting escorted out by Phil because she's like, you're drunk. You need to go to bed. Yeah. Which she does.
Because she starts also saying like, you all think it was my fault because she had kind of told Claire off right before Claire went missing.
That's true.
And so she's like, y'all are all insinuating it. And
they're like, no, we're not.
No. Yeah. And Phil's just like, Barb, you are drunk. Go to bed. And she just keeps going on and on about how no one, like, people should just need to come out and say what it is instead of just milling around the subject.
Yeah.
And Barb eventually does get upstairs and goes to lay down, which she desperately needs.
Yeah. She needs that and a Tylenol and some water.
Yeah,
And then
lots of water.
we got to, excuse me, Peter destroying the piano.
Yeah, a very odd scene.
Mm-hmm. Just whack, 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 whack.
Pianos are so expensive.
He's had enough. And also, I doubt this was his personal piano. Seemed like
I don't
belonged
think
to
it
the
was.
facility. So, like, why are you breaking the piano?
Gonna come out of your pocket.
Mm-hmm. They all seem like a bunch of rich kids, anyways.
Yeah, he dies anyways, so who knows what they do. But
that's whenever we cut back to them back at the house, and they're gonna go look for Claire or they're gonna go help look for the search party with Janice, and that's whenever Miss Mac tells,
and also Claire, they're looking for both of them,
and that's whenever Miss Mac tells Jess, like, I might not be here when you come back because I'm supposed to be go seeing my sister or something like that.
Yeah.
So that kind of already sets up
that she like won't be there whenever she gets back. Which is really
unfortunate because like
no one then thinks to look for her
because she was fucking murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I'm wondering if the killer, because her shoe falls off in the struggle, and I'm wondering if the killer like climbed down and got her shoe or what.
Oh.
Because it falls off down the little steps, the ladder to get up.
In the attic.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think he would have.
Yeah, so then I'm wondering why no one questioned a random shoe in the hallway beneath the attic.
Well, they also haven't checked or thought about checking that. Like, yeah, these people aren't being really good investigators.
Yeah.
And so we have her, getting ready to leave. She's packing, but she hears Claude, and that's when she hears him upstairs, and she thinks it's coming from the attic. So she goes up to the attic, and that's whenever she unfortunately sees Claire's body. She then gets a good view of the crazy killer person, and then she gets killed with, what are those things called, Caitlin?
A giant hook.
A giant hook. Yes. And
Captain Hook, and it comes and it just comes right under her little chin and goes into her head.
Yep.
Kills her right dead.
She's done for. And we then get like a cuts of Peter, I think, at some point knocking at the door, and then like this dude or I don't know, it could be a woman. The POV of them having like kind of like a meltdown in the attic situation where they're just like making noises and then like tossing stuff around and like
shaking things and just having a moment, like very making a dramatic scene.
Yeah, and then we have it cut to also like Jess and a few of the other students who were searching like by a can of fire, like getting warmed up, and then we have I guess people who were in the search group then calling out to everybody because dun dun dun, unfortunately we have some body that pops up, and it happens to be the 13-year-old girl's dead body.
Yep, they find really Janice, and she's dead, and the mom is hysterical.
She's dead.
She's dead.
She's dead. She's unalive. I like how whenever the mom like is about to like let out this big old scream, it cuts away from it.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool. And then that's whenever we do have Jessica back at the house, because she's always just apparently getting back to the house, and just when she gets to the house, she gets another phone call. And at this point, that's whenever I
wonder if the killer like ever calls, not knowing that no one's home,
and it's just like,
and then it's just like waiting, and then has to be like, oh, I guess I'll try again later.
Try again in 15 minutes.
He was all ready to be like,
literally, he had it wound up.
Yep, and then just had to be like, never mind.
I don't know, because it's also just like really unfortunate that, and also like how he's calling. If they have the same number, how is he calling? Is it just like I don't know how that's working, honestly, as well too. Because how is he calling the same number?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think they're different lines,
but they have the same address. So different telephone numbers, but have the same address.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because whenever Yeah, I guess that makes sense because when they patch them through later and they're like they figure out they're like it's the same address.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, he ends up calling and talking to Jess, and then Jess is like, no more of this bullshit, and hangs up and then tries to call the cops. And then the cops, and then she's trying to tell them, but then at the same time, it's whenever like, or it happens with that, yeah, Peter's in the house because he had shown up, I guess, right after during when Miss Mac was getting killed. And it was just waiting for her to get home.
Yeah.
And then
because she was out looking for Janice and he was like, "You're late," and stuff. Yeah, but the way he comes down, the way they frame that shot really definitely makes
Sets
you
him up.
believe that it's him, because all of a sudden you just see his feet coming down the stairs, and so you think it's the killer. And then it's really framing it like coming up behind her, and then all of a sudden it pans to his face and you're like, oh, it's just Peter, kind of thing. But they really lead you to believe that it is.
But I guess it also gives it away that it's not him, because the only ever time we ever have killer shots is whenever they're POV, right?
Yeah.
So it would
but they could have just been leading us to believe that it's not him, kind of thing.
It's both. They're leading us to believe that it is him and that it is not him at the same time. Yeah.
Trying to pull one over on you.
And then we have...
being like, the killer was right in front of you the whole time. Kind of thing.
It was Jess. And so then we have her getting dismissed by the cops, but then also now talking to Peter. And then Peter's like, she tells him about the dead girl in the park, and he's like, oh, that's terrible, but how about we talk about our baby that you want to kill? And then she's like, I thought we were done talking about this. And he's like, no, you're a terrible person and I want this baby. And she's like, I'm not gonna give up all my plans. She's like, you had all these plans and like now you just want to change them because of this. Like, we can't do that.
Yeah, because he's talking about how he wants to leave the conservatory and he doesn't want to pursue music anymore. And basically, he just wants to get married and have a life now with her, Jess. And she's like, just because you decided to throw your life away doesn't mean I want to.
Yeah.
For a kid. And she, like, at one point, I don't know if it's now or later, but she says, like, I don't want to marry you.
I'm going to murder your baby.
Yeah. That's exactly what she says. I don't want to marry you. I'm going to murder your baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just like is out with it.
Yeah. Maybe she was also like done with this relationship as well, but then just happened to unfortunately get fucking pregnant.
Yeah. And she was already wanting to leave. I don't know. That's what it gave to me.
And so maybe she was just waiting for the holidays to break up, because sometimes you do
maybe
that.
She just wanted a Christmas present. And then she was going to leave him.
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
That was good.
Right? I thought that was pretty good.
That was.
Some rasp. Janis Joplin rasp.
Menzel.
Adina Menzel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Adina Menzel? Yeah. The lady who from the Broadway, the wicked lady. Yeah, that's her.
Also sings.
It's Arena.
Elsa.
Adina. Adinza. Adinadana. And so then we have the main detective guy who is at the only person who's kind of a real good investigator now coming onto the case, and he is talking to Nash, and he's like, so wait a minute, y'all are receiving some prank phone calls from this house, the same house from a girl who is missing, while we also have this other girl who was murdered. Maybe it's all connected. Are y'all looking into it? And Nash is like, no. And he's like, well, maybe you should. And so then we have all that going on. And then we have that I don't remember that investigator's name. Do you remember his name? I don't, because I didn't put it in my notes. But he ends up like trying to get them like the phone number and more info on like what had happened earlier. And then of course that's when we get like the call back to the fellatio stuff, because then they're making fun of Nash because they're like, oh, the main guy is like, man, you couldn't even pick your nose if there was like instructions made for you or something like that, because Officer Nash is not the most competent person. No.
He's a little dull.
And even like as they're laughing, and then finally like 5 minutes later, he's like, oh, it's something dirty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we get a really cool transition, and it cuts to then I believe Peter and Jess again, and they're still having this talk about the baby. And then I love how whenever they're ending it, he's like, "You're gonna be very sorry, for wanting to kill this child." Like,
Yeah.
and so it also sets up like, "Oh, okay, killer, what are you about to do?"
Yeah, because he's losing his shit too, and he
Yeah.
like breaks an ornament on the Christmas tree, and he's like, "You bitch," and stuff, and he's just like going ham at her, and I was like, "Dude, chill the fuck out! Like, come on." I know it's a serious topic, a heavy topic.
It's pretty heavy,
but like,
there's also
no need to be
help.
calling names and breaking shit.
Stuff, yeah. And especially to someone who's pregnant.
Yeah, she got a lot going on already.
It's a lot of...
Again, she didn't make this decision she didn't just wake up and willy-nilly make this decision. She put a lot of thought and effort into it.
Yeah. And so she ends up going to the station and meeting with the police. Or no, sorry, she doesn't go to the station, but they come to her. And they end up talking to her, and they want to get they're like investigating and searching the premises of the house, everything but the fucking attic. And they're asking her permission to tap the phone, so that way the phone company can see where the calls are coming from, and they can trace it. And so we have then bloop 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 bloop. Peter watching the police leave because he's just kind of lurking in the shadows, which is a little weird because that's also setting him up as like somebody who's nefarious. Yeah. Someone who might be a murderer.
It was a really sketchy scene again. And whenever I saw it the first time, I was like, it's Peter.
Oh, yeah. And then we also got that like when they were going through the house, and then even the other phone got brought up at that point, the other line, and the officer was just like dismissing it already. Like, it's okay now. We'll just do this one. It's fine. You're not receiving calls from on the other one, because nobody, I guess, would think that the call is coming from inside the fucking house.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't seen that movie yet.
Exactly.
I don't think it was invented.
This was the first time.
But wait, because When a Stranger Calls is after this one, I believe. I'll look it up after, but they kind of just robbed the whole premise of this movie.
And made it not Christmas.
Just made it a babysitter, yeah. But we have Mr. Glasses Girl, who is named Phil. She is trying to go to bed, but this is whenever they end up getting another phone call.
Yeah, 1979.
Yeah. Totally jacked the style off of this one. And we get another phone call, but it is not... I don't believe that it is. Yeah, it doesn't stay...
It doesn't last long enough
for them to trace it.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's too short of a phone call, and it's just she aggravates him kind of quickly, and to the point where he hangs up long before they can actually trace what's going on.
And then that's whenever we have like another shot of Claire in the rocking chair. And then we have Jess going to Barb's bedroom because she's waking up screaming and having a nightmare.
Slash an asthma attack.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Triggering her asthma.
She needs inhaler.
And that's whenever we have like a ring at the doorbell, and Jess has to go down because there's the carolers outside, and they're going to sing her little ditty. Little tune. And then at the same time we have the killer, the POV now. He's like making a move, and he ends up like going through this like cabinet of things and pulling out the unicorn, and then goes to Barb and ends up stabbing her at the same time that the carolers are like climaxing.
Yeah
they're with their song. And then it's pretty funny because it's like this really not funny, it's pretty gnarly because he's like using that glass unicorn, which is also, where do you get a glass unicorn like that? But like had like used the horn of it to just like really just stab her multiple times. Yeah.
And all the while he's saying stuff like Agnes and Billy and like mother and father can't know what we did, kind of thing. But yeah, ends up stabbing Barb, and this was, I think, my favorite scene of the whole film.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked the transition, the harsh cuts back and forth from the carolers and everything just as he's killing her. I thought it was cool, and it doesn't show you much.
No.
It doesn't show you much at all.
You're just getting more shots of like the murder weapon and like the movement.
With blood on it.
And the carolers who are really kind
But
of.
no actual
Mhm.
like stabbing being
You
seen.
see her face a couple times where she's screaming, but that's really it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then
You're not like seeing the unicorn like puncture her body.
mhm. And then it cuts to excuse me, Jess outside with the carolers, and she like gives them a little tip, and she's talking to this lady who was, you know, coming behind the carolers, who's kind of giving the tea a little bit, but then the phone rings and Jess is like kind of letting it ring, and then the lady's like, aren't you gonna go get that? And so she does, and they're able to start tracing it. At the same time though, there's lots of voices. The cops are like listening in, and this is whenever the killer ends up repeating what she said earlier, just like having a wart removed, and she's like, oh my god. And then the cops are like, what? And then that's whenever I think he even asked her, the cop guy is like, hey, who was that dude that left earlier? He looked like really upset. Did y'all have any beef? And she was like, oh, that was my boyfriend Peter. And he was just kind of like, okay, this person may be of interest, like, you know, we're gonna take a look into that.
Because whenever she said, oh my God, on the phone, he was like, then did you recognize something? Like, was there something that was said that triggered you, basically? And she was like, no, trying to protect Peter at this
fucking
point.
Liar.
Yeah.
Fucking liar.
Fucking liar.
She's lying, bruv.
Bruv, in it.
Ain't it? And so then that's whenever we have the girls talking to Peter because of what the killer said, right? Is it the girls? Or no, it's just what's her face. He calls, right? He calls. Not too long after.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever everybody's listening to their fucking awkward conversation of him like saying, don't kill the baby.
Don't kill the baby, crying and stuff like that. And she's like, come on, calm down. And the officer's listening in. And so then afterwards he confronts her about it and is like, what is he talking about? What is going on? Kind of thing. Are you pregnant? And she has to be like, yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's a bit unfortunate on the timing of everything happening.
Yeah, definitely.
And so then we have and also Phil is just there like, I know her as a friend is just kind of like what?
Yeah.
You're pregnant?
I feel like Phil already knew.
You think?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I feel like Phil helped her come to the decision that she made.
Maybe.
And Phil was just like,
the sisterhood.
ooh, yikes, everyone just found out.
Yeah. And then that's whenever we have and also I felt like there was a shadow moving at a certain point, right? Behind Phil's head, behind her hair.
Yeah, I feel like I remember seeing that as well.
And then the cops are trying to figure stuff out, but they're still even a little perplexed at the moment. They don't really have like really strong leads. And then that's whenever we have like these search party. I don't even know why it's even in the movie, to be honest.
Yeah, this scene was a little irrelevant, and then Phil like laughing the whole time really confused me, kind of thing.
It kind of like there was a lot of suspense and tense built up moment, and I can't talk. This is the suspense was really built up, and it was like kind of felt like really serious. The movie almost looks like a slug. That is weird. And you have a lot of this tension, but it gets released because then you have like these search party guys who are just like checking on them and kind of making jokes between them. Phil was laughing the whole time, and you're thinking something's gonna happen, but then it's just like kind of
they just
nonsense.
leave.
Yeah, and they're just gone.
And they're like, make sure you lock your doors and windows. And then that's when Jess is like,
I'm like, he's already in the fucking house.
Yeah. And I was like, that's not gonna do you much good.
Yeah.
But Jess is like, isn't it funny that this is the only door and window in the whole house that's locked? And I was like,
yeah,
lock your goddamn doors.
And so then that's whenever Phil ends up deciding to go to Barb's room, right? Because she's going to go check on Barb or something like that.
Yeah.
And as she goes into Barb's room, she just ends up getting snatched up. Or we just see like the door closed, but we can only assume that the killer was still in there, basically.
Yeah, because the door doesn't just like slowly close, like it's like it slams.
Yeah. And then we have Miss Jess in the house. She's like walking around doing stuff. Phil is not responding to her, and then Jess just happens to get another phone call.
I kind of like the name Phil for a girl.
So that's short for Phyllis, right?
Yeah, I feel like, but
Philosopher's Stone.
I like just Phil.
Philanthropy. It's short for Phil. Oh, is that short for Phyllis? No, it's short for philanthropy. But
Have you seen the
Philadelphia.
thing that's like, what do you think would make a good baby name if it didn't mean what it meant?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the word Jezebel.
Or anorexia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or bulimia. Or
Because then you could call her Jezzy for short.
Jezzy. Ooh, yeah, no.
Jizzy.
For a baby. Come? No, just kidding. JK. And so then we end up having the actual trace of this phone call actually being traced because it's had enough time, I guess. And that's whenever, which was also the whole time that they're trying to chase this phone call. It's really interesting and cool because you have like the dude at the old timey phone company thing, and he's like unplugging and finding where the number is coming from, which was really interesting. Like I don't even understand how all that even works.
Yeah,
that
I had no clue,
so,
but
like,
it looked really cool.
Yeah,
but
it did.
Looked super difficult. Like not an easy way to trace where a phone call is coming from.
And
also, how in the world was he following it?
I don't know.
To the different little mailbox looking things. I have no clue.
And so then we have some very insightful information. He's reaching out to the lead investigator and he's saying, hey, we finally were able to get a address on where the phone call is coming from. It's at so-and-so, so-and-so. And the lead detective is like, no, y'all fucked it up because that's where the calls are coming to. And he's like, well, no, they're coming from there as well. And so that's whenever he's like, oh, shit. And he calls, of all people, the wrong person, calls Detective Nash.
Yeah.
And is like, hey, I need you to call Jess and like tell her, and very specifically to go out of the house. Do not tell her that the calls are coming from in the house. And Nash was like, I got it. And he's like, don't fuck this up. And then he ends up calling Jess and he's like, Jess, I need you to do as I say and just go out the house. And also, it doesn't help that Jess is not a girl to just like do as someone says. She's going to ask a million questions.
Yeah.
And so then he's just like, damn it, Jess, like 2 seconds. And he's like, the murder is in the house. You need to leave.
Yeah. He had zero resolve.
Yeah.
And just crumbled immediately.
Yes.
And then was like, the murderer is in the house. You have to get out of there. And she's like, I'm going to go get Barb and Phil.
And he's like, no. And he's just yelling on
Barb
the phone.
And Phil. Yeah. And then he's like, Jess, Jess. And just screaming. And Jess has already left the phone.
Dangling off the hook. And then that's whenever we have her going into Barb's room and she sees their bodies. Very a la Jamie Lee Curtis finding her friends' bodies in Halloween. Which
they're nice and posed.
This heavily inspired Halloween that came later by John Carpenter. And we have her in the room, and then that's whenever we get the shot of him in the closet, right? Or behind some doors. Something, because you just see his sliver of his eye. And then she freaks the fuck out.
Yeah, it's behind Phil's and Barb's door.
Okay.
Right there.
And then she ends up freaking out.
And he brown eye.
Lunging for her, and then we have like this kind of chase scene happening through the house, and she ends up getting all the way to the like cellar basement area and locking herself in there, and so he's not able to get in there with her. But
he gives up remarkably quick too, banging on the door. It looked like it was about to crack. And then he was like, never mind,
walks away.
Yeah.
And then we have Peter showing up outside. And he's like calling for her.
But at first you think it's because he's silent.
Yeah.
And you just see the silhouette on the window, which I thought this was a really cool shot too. And the silhouette like coming up, walking up to the window, and it looks massive because it's a shadow being projected. And then you see like the hand press onto the window and stuff, and it moves from window to window all the way around until it gets to, and she realizes it is getting to the door. And that's whenever Peter starts calling out for Jess and is saying like, Jess, is that you? Like, are you in there? Are you okay? Kind of thing. And she's obviously and rightfully apprehensive.
Yeah.
And is not wanting to open the door for him. And he just kicks the glass in.
Which also makes him look even more suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, it is Peter. And because then I was like, oh shit, he's just been playing the nice guy this whole time.
Yeah.
And he actually is the murderer. And so then he came in and he was still looking hella suspicious and is like, hey, Jess, what are you doing over there? It's me.
Hey, baby girl.
Yeah. And then he gets closer to her, and then we pan out to the outside of the house and we hear screaming, but we don't actually see what's happening to them in that moment.
Yeah. And so then it's when the cops show up and they're like honing in onto the house. And then that's whenever we have a shot of it opening up on Peter, and he's like got a bloodied face, and he's in
Jess's lap.
lap, and the cops are coming into the basement. Jess looks like she's also dead.
Yeah, I thought she was dead at first. I was like, oh, damn, they're both dead. And then they call her name, and she starts coming to a little bit. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And this is where we get the conversation with like the lead inspector and stuff. And I believe Chris, the boyfriend of Claire, who is like, Jess wouldn't kill anyone, let alone Peter, kind of thing, unless. And then that's when the inspector guy was like, I had a gut feeling it was him. Like, she killed him in self-defense kind of thing.
Yeah. But she ends up being like on bed rest, I guess, because of everything that's happened so far. And it just ends with like a pan out from.
Yeah, she's like in shock or drugged up or something. The dad goes into shock, Mr. Harrison. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he goes into shock as well.
Yeah. And then we have a panning like through the house type of shot, and then we go back towards the attic. We have an ending shot of like Claire in the window as it's coming out, and then it's kind of like a frame of like when we first started in the beginning of the film, and we get a telephone ringing as the credits start to roll up.
Yep.
And that is,
and they never found Claire or Mrs. Mac's body.
They're just rotting and stinking upstairs.
Yeah.
They'll find them in a few months or in a few days.
Yeah. Definitely.
Along with the killer, who still happens to be
up there. Yeah, exactly. Because we can hear him muttering stuff about Billy and Agnes yet again as it starts panning out from the attic window and stuff like that.
There really was a missed opportunity for a week later, like a sequel to come out a year later, but it be like in the time frame just a week later, and it'd be like a New Year's themed movie.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. I'd watch it.
Yeah, it would be just like a continuation. But that is our Black Christmas little shindig, mabob. And I guess if I were to give this a boo rating, I would rate this a solid 3.8. It is almost close to a 4. I really thought that it had some really cool and I guess since it's 1974, really inspiring transitions and shots and framing, because this came before a lot of movies that I guess we've seen nowadays. So maybe a lot of directors that I didn't know had seen this before, took reference or paid homage to that. There is a pretty good story. There's like a aspect of mystery to it, because throughout the whole film you never know who it is. And even though I'm kind of at times, I'm not a big fan of like not having any resolution in terms of like the not knowing, because it's like, who was it? And then also, if it wasn't anybody that we did see on camera, like now I want to know this killer story. Like, who is this? Why are they doing this? Where are they from? They're almost like a character. Sequel. They're almost like a character who's not a character. You know what I mean? Because it's just so ominous. It's just so there's nothing there to work off of. But I really thought all the actresses did pretty good. Jess, I thought her accent was just like the whole entire time it was entertaining me. Yeah. Just her accent alone and the way she said things. She was a pretty good actress too. She really carried, I felt like, her weight in the film.
Yeah, that scene where she's screaming for Phil and Barb to answer her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, Phil, Barb, please answer me.
Please answer me.
Like, her voice sounds like a 60-year-old, like, husky woman's voice. Like, smoked, like, 50 packs, like, owns a mansion, coming from this, like, young lady's mouth. I don't know. And so she ends up being a pretty good final girl. And the red herring, the little small bits and pieces of comedy we got from like Barb's character, and then like the interactions with like the cop. It made it feel a little bit more like real life and like keeping it grounded, especially with like the cop's reaction at first to what was going on. Oh, and how could I forget Miss Max? She was a pretty funny character
Yeah.
until she had to die.
She died pretty quick.
But yeah, overall, it's a good. I would recommend this for anybody who's a good horror fan, and then it's like Christmas time, so it's kind of like
Good
best of both
holiday
worlds.
movie to watch.
Yeah, 3.8.
3.8.
Do you have any fun facts?
I do.
Yeah, fun fact me.
Let's see. Reportedly, writer Roy Moore took inspiration for the story from an actual series of murder that took place in Montreal, Quebec, around the Christmas season, along with the urban legend, The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs. So that's kind of fun. So took some real life
inspo.
That's the word. I was going to say admiration.
Kind of,
but not really.
No.
NBC scheduled this film for its primetime network debut on January 28, 1978, under the title Stranger in the House. On January 15, 1978, 2 female students at Florida State University were murdered by an assailant who broke into the sorority house where they lived. 3 other young women in the immediate vicinity were attacked and assaulted. NBC received numerous pleas from locals to pull the movie from broadcast in light of the crimes, and after first stating that they would offer the local affiliates an alternative movie to broadcast, they decided to just pull the plug on the movie altogether. Instead, the first Doc Savage, Man of Bronze, was shown. NBC instead ran Stranger in the House as a late movie on May 14th the same year. The perpetrator of the crimes at Florida State University was later identified as serial killer Ted Bundy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Not Teddy.
Not Teddy. The film is regarded as being one of the first slasher films, with Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1974, Bay of Blood 71, Psycho 60, Peeping Tom 60 preceding this film. It set the layout for films such as John Carpenter's Halloween, as you mentioned. However, director Bob Clark considered it to be more of a psychological horror film than a slasher film, which I can kind of see.
Yeah.
According to the director, Bob Clark, the original script for the film featured murder scenes that were more graphic. Clark, however, felt that it would be more effective if the murders were toned down kept subtle on screen. Writer Roy Moore liked the idea as well.
That's kind of true. Yeah.
And then lastly, in 1986, Olivia Hussey met producers for the film Roxanne in 1987. Since they were interested in casting her for the title role, Roxanne co-star Steve Martin met her and said, "Oh my God, Olivia, you're in one of my all-time favorite films," thinking it was Romeo and Juliet. That's right, she was in Romeo and Juliet.
I've never seen a Romeo and Juliet movie.
Oh, really? You didn't have to watch it in high school?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they made us watch it in high school.
Really? No. She was Romeo? I'm just kidding. She was Juliet?
Like, yes.
Got it. I'm gonna look it up.
Olivia was surprised to find out that
Olivia's
it was actually
the main girlie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Black Christmas, and Martin claimed that he had seen it around 27 times. So Steve Martin really likes Black Christmas.
He's from Waco.
Yes. He is.
Yeah, 1968, Romeo and Juliet. Got it. Black Christmas, Jesus Nazareth, Death on the Nile. She's from It. Duh. She plays the lady in it. Mm-hmm.
Look at that. She does lots of good things. But yeah, I think for me,
what are you gonna give it? 2.
No. No, I liked it. Sorry, I was reading some cameos. I think I'm going to give this one a solid 3.5. No. Yes. I'm going to stick with my original gut feeling.
3.5?
3.5. I really liked it. I thought it was a great film overall. And it has a lot of, like you said, experimental aspects that definitely pave the way for films that we see nowadays. And like, I can definitely see horror films taking inspiration from this film and like my favorite scene. Horror films do that quite often now.
Yeah.
I feel like, or at least often enough.
What scene?
The carolers and
Oh,
Barb.
yeah.
Going in between something that's seemingly innocent, and then flashing back to something horrific that's happening. I feel like not a lot of, but we've seen some horror films that have done something similar.
Yeah.
Nowadays. So I think it did a great job of paving the way for a lot of the horror films that we've seen today, and it had a good storyline. It was interesting, intriguing. I do kind of wish we figured out who the killer was, and I was like, oh shit, it is Peter. Which, if it would have been Peter, that would have been almost even, because I was like thinking like it's too obvious.
There's no way.
There's no way it's him. And then whenever he came in at the end, I was like, oh fuck, it was Peter.
Peter this whole time.
Yeah.
Right in front of our noses.
I kind of would have liked that too.
Either or. It could have been him. Could have been anyone else.
Yeah.
Honestly, would have been more satisfied if I just had someone be the killer.
Yeah.
That's all.
Had a name.
Well, because then it's like, I guess Jess is going to die anyways, because it's just going to kill her in the middle of the night.
Yeah. They left her unattended. I expected somebody else to walk into her room.
Yeah. Like maybe there's a police detail outside, but there's nobody like there watching her. And obviously we know the person was already in the house when like nobody even knew. So like, I feel like there would be extra protection. Why is she even in the same house at all?
Yeah. I did think that as it was ending. I was like, why is she not in a hospital?
Yeah.
Or something. Why is she in this house?
Because it's a horror movie
where people just got murdered. Yeah. But I think it was a good middle of the road film for me. I enjoyed it. I would recommend this film to people, and I would watch it again during the holiday season.
Yep.
And I'm curious to see some of the many remakes that there were.
Yeah. There's like 5 of them apparently, or I don't know, so many different remakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was one that I know of for sure in 06, and then one as recently as like 2016 or 19.
I think it was 21.
21. Okay. Yeah. So
I think
there are a lot. So, if you know, send us your review or tell us if any of the other ones are worth watching, because we would like to know your input. But yeah, 'tis the season, you guys. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas from BooBaes to you. We are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studio. As always, they take good care of us.
That's right.
You can listen to our podcast and a lot of other cool podcasts on their one network website, and that is roguemedianetwork.com.
And you can listen to us and all those other podcasts as well on a slew of podcasting platforms, the biggest 2 being
Apple
and also Spotify. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And word of mouth, tell your friends. It can be spooky season at Christmas time.
It can.
All the time. Spooky 365.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to reach out to us, let us know films that you think we should cover and in the new year and stuff like that. We definitely take listener requests, and we get around to where we slowly work our way through that list.
Mm-hmm.
So please reach out to us and let us know on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that is at
BooBaes and podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your BooBaes, that's your BooBabes.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's all we have. I'm sorry for sounding so sleepy today.
Oh,
I feel very sleepy.
you've had a long weekend.
I have had to move, y'all.
I don't think you sound
For those of you who don't know, this podcast is about to become cross city, across multiple cities, because
BooBaes has moved to a whole different city.
I'm moving
to Antarctica.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
No.
transcontinental.
But so I had to move this weekend, so apologies if I sounded extra sleepy today.
I think you sounded just fine.
Okay.
But yeah, as always, and until next time.
Until next time, you guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye,
Bye,
baes.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.